Very quiet. Hello. Hello.
Hi, hey, how you doing? Hey, hi.
You're all quite close, aren't you?
Yeah, that's real.
Very extreme close-ups.
Sorry.
Okay, we are going to start.
Hello.
Please, guys, go back to your seat.
Very nice. That was from CinemaCon.
Hey, love that.
CinemaCon.
Please,
I've got one of those.
ladies and gentlemen, photographers, please go back to your seat. We have to start very promptly. How are you? Great.
Oh, I'm lucky I get to sit next to
Fab for if you
I'm lucky I get to sit next to you. All right, we're gonna start the press conference for Rocketman. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Faut y aller, madame. S'il vous plaît. Thank you so much. All right. Let me start by introducing our team here. We start with the far left with the actor Richard Maiden. Bonjour, Richard. Taron Egerton. The director Dexter Fletcher. And Bryce Dallas Howard. All right, guys. I'm going to open the floor to the questioning in 1 minute, but I want to ask you, I was in the room yesterday. This was unbelievable. What was you feeling, to all of you, at the end of the screening? Taron, you were like, crying.
All right, let's stop talking about it. I got a bit emotional. It was one of the best days of my life. We've worked really hard to try and make something that we're all really proud of, and it's not your typical biopic. We don't deal with the songs in a chronological order. There's elements of fantasy. We take some license with the truth. In the interest of full disclosure, people did not float off the ground at the Troubadour.
Are you sure?
You know, and the response has been so wonderful. And for me personally, thank you so much to everyone that said nice things. You've made a young man from Aberystwyth incredibly happy, and you've made a 72-year-old rock star even more happy. So thank you so much.
Richard, one word after the screening. What did you feel?
Just quite overwhelmed and thrilled. It was such a nice atmosphere in there. It was just an electric evening, and like Tarn said, a lot of people have worked very hard for a number of years to get us here, and it's just so nice to have such a great reaction when people have worked so hard.
Dexter?
Yeah, I think, like, to echo what Taron and Richard are saying, you know, it was very emotional for a number of reasons to sit there with Bernie Taupin and Elton and David Furnish's husband as well, you know, and have that moment where they get to sit and watch the film all together, and us be there, you know, as the filmmakers and experience it with them, was, I think, more emotional than any of us ever really expected. I mean, we thought, hey, we're going to Cannes, it's going to be a great night, and we're all going to sit and watch a movie, that's fantastic. But then, of course, you know, the enormity of what you're faced with the people whose lives it's very real for them, you know. And there's obviously, you know, the movie attempts to be emotional and you know, touches on some very deep-rooted feelings and moments in their lives. And to see that really visceral, emotional reaction from Elton and from Bernie, I think for us all was a bit of a, you know, took us back. And so it was great to be caught up in that and be part of that whole journey really for them, because it's a long journey for them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel the same way that everyone here has, you know, everything that they've expressed. I feel exactly that way. But just something to add is that we have this enormous privilege in being able to celebrate Bernie and Elton while they're alive and well and performing, and after the movie last night, the fact that Elton performed afterwards and performed with Taron. I mean, this is a privilege, because normally when you're telling the story of someone's life, they're gone, you know, and there was none of that loss. It was only celebration at the end, and I think that's something, you know, to hear Elton crying just a few seats away from us. I mean, that is incredibly surreal, and what an honor to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You know, my goodness.
Absolutely.
Well, it was one of those screenings. We got a question right here.
Good afternoon, Peter Howell from the Toronto Star in Canada. Congratulations on the movie, enjoyed it a lot. I have a question for Taron Egerton and Dexter Fletcher. Did Elton give you any specific instructions or advice on how he wanted to be portrayed? And also, did he tell you anything that he did not want put in the movie?
Well, we can't tell you that. Oh, no. Do you want to go first?
I think our primary concern and our mandate was always that we were going to try and tell a story that didn't try and... It's a celebration that doesn't mean that we've sought to deify Elton or make him flawless or perfect. We wanted to tell a human story. Elton is an extraordinary human being, but he's still a human being, and so that's why you see the troughs as well as the peaks. It was a risk on many levels, and we have been very fortunate in that we've had a very brave studio work with us to achieve that, and we are so proud. And you know, Elton, not a lot makes him blush, so you know he's very at peace with us telling the story in that way.
Yeah, he was always very clear from the beginning, and when I first read the script and when we first started discussing it, he's very clear that he didn't want it to be self-serving. There's no upside for him in that, and he's always been very clear and honest and open about who he is, and the film attempts to reflect that and be a part of that as well. And so I think that's one of its great strengths, is that it's not hidden, and that's why it's so full of this kind of joy and joie de vivre, you know, this kind of lust for life almost, really. That's what it's trying to communicate and be a part of that. And the answer to your question is generally no. There wasn't anywhere, there was nowhere that I couldn't shine a light. There was no dark corner where he was like, don't go, you know, if it serviced what the film needed and wanted to be at any particular time, then that's where we went. And he backed off and let us play. He let us tell the story, and that was the great strength of it. And so that's why I feel that it is a success on so many levels for us personally, but for him as well. It's very important that he loves it.
Right, we have a question over there.
Hi, my name is Marcus. I work for One Press TV in Sweden. I want to ask Taron Egerton a question. What did it mean to you to play the role as Elton John, and how did you prepare yourself for the role?
I think, you know, the thing about Elton and the reason, you know, the movie has garnered such attention and focus is because Elton is as much an idea and you know, he's a global phenomenon, and people feel a sense of ownership over Elton's work because these songs, you know, they highlight moments in our lives, which is, you know, why everyone feels such a personal investment in him and his life story. So to portray him has felt like a huge honor and a huge responsibility, and it, you know, it just feels the enormity of it is borderline overwhelming. So there's that, but then also I've gotten to know him, and I'm very proud to call him a friend, and he is the kindest, most interested, warm man, and that has always that has made it feel very important to me. In terms of preparation, you immerse yourself in his music, and the invaluable thing, and this echoes what Bryce was saying, my great privilege and my great fortune was that I was able to spend a lot of time with him and talk to him about anything. So I prepared by being with him largely, and having that wonderful privilege of being able to know everything, because you really can ask him anything. He's so much fun. Yes. I mean, he'll tell you everything.
All right, we got a question to Lydia over there.
Rocketman German TV question for Taron. Why exactly did you choose to prepare the song from Elton John for when you applied for the Academy? Did you already have a special relationship?
I was obviously auditioning for... Yes, absolutely. I love that song. It's one of the most beautiful songs ever written. And it was... I can't believe it. I'm going to go again. Oh, my God. So I chose that song to audition for drama school because Bernie Taupin is a poet and a storyteller, and lots of the lots of these songs are written like stories, so you can remove the music and they work as addresses, as speeches, as character pieces. And when you're auditioning for acting course, you want a song that you can act through. And it occurred to me at the age of 17 that your song was a song you could act and perform like you were talking to someone. So in answer to your question, that's why I picked it.
All right, we have a question over there.
Oui, Franck Lepierre, Denis Matin, c'est une question pour
I have a question
Taron.
for Taron.
Je voudrais revenir sur la soirée d'hier.
I'd like to talk about yesterday night.
Elton John,
We
vous
saw
jeter quelque
Elton
chose à l'oreille
John
qui vous a bouleversé. Est-ce que vous
say
partageriez
something
ce moment
into
avec
your
nous,
ear which
si vous l'aviez
really
vu?
overwhelmed you. Could you share that with us, perhaps?
I think some things are best kept between us, and although these things are lovely sound bites and great marketing tools, there are things that you want to preserve for the integrity of the moment. I'm very fortunate in that Elton said some lovely things to all of us about the work we've done on the film, and Dexter and I was sort of sat watching the film like this last night because we were looking at Bernie and Elton, and to see them every 5 minutes grab each other's knee, just reminisce and be moved by this iteration of their story is the greatest triumph we could hope for. And so whilst I'm not going to tell you exactly what Elton's been saying in my ear, I will tell you that I'm very proud to say that I think he's really pleased.
We got a question over there.
Hi there, my name is Jamie Johnson from The Telegraph in London. It's a question for Richard Madden. I'm not sure if you're a betting man at all, but your odds have shortened to 2-1 to take over from Daniel Craig as the next James Bond. Now, I only bring this up because you wore the signature white tuxedo and pulled it off very well, may I say, last night. It's a done deal, isn't it?
It's very flattering to be involved in that conversation at all, but it's all just talk, and I'm sure next week it'll be someone different.
We got a question over here.
Hi, I'm David from Movie View China. My question is for Taron. This is the second time seeing I'm Still Standing in a movie. I was wondering, how was this time different than the last time?
What we've tried to do with Elton and Bernie's songs is that Dexter and I would sit with them and we would take the lyric and we would try and tailor them to fit the storytelling purposes. So, without spoiling too much of the movie, at the end when I sing I'm Still Standing and I turn back and look into the room and I say I found a taste of love in a simple way, it's about the fact that he's found some love through this process of recovery and the ability to self-love. So in I'm Still Standing, it's a great film, but it's a gorilla on a stage. This is about trying to do something creatively with those lyrics that reimagines them. And so, I suppose with that song, I was trying to make the lyrics of that song fit that storytelling beat, which is about a man who has found happiness and some resolution to his inner turmoil.
And I just want to add to that when we shot that whole walk out from where Taron starts to sing that song to when he hits the doors and he comes out into Cannes, he sings that all live. And what you hear in the movie is what Taron sang that day when we were there in the studio. So that entire length of the corridor and out through that room, it's what Taron sang there and then on the day. None of it was pre-recorded. And that was something that Taron took on a daily basis, was to sing these songs live and in the moment. And that's what, dramatically, I think Taron's alluding to, is why it touches and works so well that moment. Why, as a filmmaker, I'm so excited and elated and pleased that was captured then, because what you hear happened there and then, and it's very rare to have that privilege, and it's why it's so fantastic, so great.
Over there.
Hi, Jason Gober from thatshelf.com in Canada. Congratulations on the film. One of the things it does most remarkably is deals with taking different versions and doing interpretations of it. You do different interpretations of the songs, and you're doing different interpretations of the beats of Elton's life. Just wondering if you could talk about, in terms of musical arrangement, of twisting the songs and making them your own, and then doing the same from the script and the directing and the acting stage, of taking these real life moments They may not be biographically true, but they're musically and they're emotionally true. You could talk about the challenge of making the songs your own and the points of his life your own.
I think that was a really lovely way you put that. So thank you. I mean, you know, if you take some of, if you take snapshots of Elton's career and snapshots of our movie, you will see that the costumes, for example, are evocative and inspired by what Elton really wore, but they're different iterations. It's not that we didn't do our homework, it's that we're trying to, be sort of authentically creative with it and in the hope of achieving some sort of integrity. And so the same goes for the music, the same goes for my performance, my relationship with Richard's character. It's inspired by and I hope emotionally true to the spirit of what happened, but they are reimaginings. The process in the studio is that Dexter, myself and Giles would sit at Abbey Road and cry with laughter, having the time of our lives, taking the piss out of, can I swear? It's too late. Taking the piss out of each other and having the best time. And we did work on the songs to try and make them our own. Some we deal with more authentically and faithfully, and some we really mess with and reimagine, always with Elton's blessing. And that's been Dexter's vision for it. It drips down from Elton and what he wanted for the film. But Dexter wanted everything to be through sort of rose-tinted glasses and kind of look like what really happened, but be our own reimagining.
I think there was a question. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, it couldn't be a better answer, really. I mean, when you are faced with creating a musical and you have this incredible catalogue of songs and lyrics to explore and expand on, and you're given free rein to reinterpret them as you want, and you have an actor with an incredible instrument, and these people who are ready to take on that challenge. You're a bit sort of spoiled for choice, but they all are used beautifully emotionally. If they fit right for the emotional and psychological moment of the film, then we dive in, and we're very proud of that. And as Taryn says, Elton said, with his blessing. And so the music doesn't get in the way of the film. It is part of the whole,
All right, we have a question in the center over there.
Hi, my name is Fabian Weinthal. For Latin America, I have a question for Taryn. Should I?
Go for it. We'll take your question right after, I promise.
Sorry. I have a question for Taryn. When you saw this year at the Academy Awards, Rami Malek, taking the Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury, did you picture yourself with that award? And if you win,
that's a horrible question. One thing I would like to say and take this opportunity to say is that inevitably the film has drawn comparisons with Bohemian Rhapsody. Rami Malek's performance in that movie is astonishing, and I'm lucky enough to know him a little bit personally. Dexter knows him quite well. He's the nicest, most brilliant man and one of the most talented actors of our generation. And I'm very, very proud that we are mentioned in the same breath. I'm going to ignore the part of your question that there is no good answer to. But
it's a trap. It's a trap.
That film has been such a global phenomenon and success, and rightly so. It is a great, rip-roaring piece of entertainment, and it's great fun. I can't remember who did that and who finished it off. Actually.
No. Very good.
But our movie is a different animal. Our movie is a musical, so it requires an actor that can sing in the lead role. For a biopic, that's not necessary because it's a biopic and they're just performance pieces that are singing. So I'm very grateful that people compare us, and hopefully it shows that there is an appetite for movies of this nature. And however, that movie is a unicorn, and I don't want to be forever judged.
Anyway, Rocketman is really good. We're very proud of Rocketman.
We're very proud of Rocketman.
Any questions you have about Rocketman, we are more than happy to answer in full. Thank you.
Before we go back to the floor, Bryce, I was wondering, watching the movie yesterday, what did Elton say to you about how you played his mom? I mean, what did he tell you?
Well, I mean, it was actually a really interesting process because I came aboard the project relatively late, and so they had been rehearsing, and they really, like, the movie was happening, and I showed up kind of not knowing what to expect. And in one room, people are dancing. In another room, people are singing. You know, it's like you're like, oh, this is a proper musical. And then within that, there is, you know, there is the text, and this is based on a real human being who, like we talked about before, is alive and well, and will be seeing it. And
good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. And I think something really beautiful happened, which is there was a really clear sort of like passing of the baton to Taryn. And so when we were on set, even when we were in rehearsals, I was going to Taryn and Dexter with a lot of questions. And of course, speaking to people who know Elton intimately and knew Sheila and observed their dynamic. But it really was this kind of extraordinary thing because he had, you guys have such an intimate friendship. He had shared so much with you that even just one-on-one, me and Elton, we wouldn't have never have gotten to that place. So it's. I mean, there were not things said directly to me because that wasn't necessary, you know. And no one wants to talk shit about their mother, you know.
Yeah. It's true. That's absolutely true.
They
It's an
just
incredibly
don't,
complex thing to achieve, you know.
Yeah.
Because of course, to make her one-dimensional would have been the easiest trap in the world. You know? And when Bryce and I spoke about it in depth, this was absolutely key. That I didn't want to bring that, and Bryce is not interested in doing that. You know, there's so much more range and complexity. It needs to be brought to something that is, you know, here's the central character. She has to do so much work in just the shortest amount of time, and to deliver that. And Elton always describes her as giving with one hand and taking with the other. And so even just that seems like a very simple phrase, but to be able to communicate that and the depth and complexity of that relationship that affects him so deeply is really complex. And that's why, you know, the performances are complex. They're all really layered. They're all so detailed. It's so key because it has to carry a lot of weight and a lot of import. It was so important. But that first conversation we had, I think, was like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it was.
I was in a car park walking around. I know you were in your office or something, but anyway, yeah, it was great. It was really fantastic. It was very, very exciting.
The lady that's over there.
Hi, David Sanderson from The Times. It's a question for you, Dexter. After Bohemian Rhapsody, or after Queen, after Elton John, there's now talk about film projects on Led Zeppelin and Velvet Underground, and even Liam Gallagher.
Is there?
So I wonder what advice you would give to those directors, and also whether you think there's been an overkill of music films.
I don't think there's an overkill. I mean, look, if there's an appetite, people are gonna, you know, go and love it, and each director will bring their vision and their take, and I think that's important. I mean, look, as long as there's a story to tell, and that's the story that they want to tell, they find some rich, complex storytelling, or however they want to do it, then that's what they've got to go for. For me, the musical has this great element that I call the to be or not to be moment, where your actors can sing and open their hearts and tell you what their inner voice is saying, and that is an incredible storytelling tool. That's what I've learned more and more as I move forward, and you know, it's why opera sits and moves in the way that it does, because you know, you open your heart and you sing, and when you have an instrument, a voice that can do that, there's, you know, for me, cinema, there's nothing greater than, or more unifying than that moment, because of the right note from the right voice with the right image, you know, sends tingles up our spine, and that's an incredible experience. That's what we go to the theatres for. So, yeah, do it would be my advice. If those opportunities arise, do it and take it for everything it's worth, because nothing but good has come from it for me. So, of course, I would encourage it wholeheartedly. And I'll be waiting for their call about Liam Gallagher.
And I just want to add something there, which is that, I mean, we're all aware that the industry is changing rapidly, and with TV being so, and streaming services being so robust and wonderful, honestly, us in the movie business really need to think about leveling up. And we know now what it takes to get people to the theater. It takes a giant spectacle, you know. We We don't drive to the theater, buy a ticket, get popcorn, wait for it to start, watch through the previews for something you could watch at home. You go to the theater for an experience and something memorable and something shared. And so, you know, of course, stories like stories of musicians with music, you know, that brings that spectacle, you know, and it kind of demands that united experience. It would be a shame to watch this movie alone by yourself. Honestly, it really would. So that's why I think there is a huge appetite.
Bryce is answering all the questions from now on.
Bryce, I have a question for Richard. Should I ask you? Well, Richard, you have a very interesting character to play. I mean, he's kind of the bad guy, but he's so much more than that. In the film, it's very well described that without him, Elton wouldn't have been the Elton we know. How to balance that? How to make him an important character, at the same time have us hate him?
I'm not really sure. I think that was in the writing. That's what we kind of managed to do in the script. He serves this purpose, which does spur on different moments in Elton's life. So kind of it was the part. That's what I had to do. He has this charm and charisma, and was kind of famous for that in terms of people knowing him of what kind of man he was. But yeah, in terms of trying to structure it, that was the script and that was the part.
But also, in fairness to Richard, you know, what he brilliantly does is he doesn't play the bad guy. Yeah. He doesn't play the bad guy.
That's the thing, I think, and the way Richard and I approached it is that at the start of the story when they first meet, it's not that there's this Machiavellian character who's planning to lead Elton down the garden path. These are just two people falling in love who are incredibly attracted to one another, and then they're both extreme personalities and their relationship sours and there are some misdeeds and all the rest of it. But it's not hero and villain. It's two people who fall in love and have a relationship that goes south very badly, you know.
Yeah.
But you know,
I don't think Reed sees himself as a bad person.
No.
He's like, you know, people generally don't. Even people who we perceive as bad, they don't go around seeing themselves as bad. And I think that's the beauty of what Richard brings, is that he sees someone who he's really attracted to and he makes his move. And that's why the relationship is so connective and real. And it's so powerful.
And also, it's been one of the great takeaways of this process for me as well. Richard and I have struck up a real friendship, and building that relationship together, you know, you have become one of my best friends, and I've loved meeting and working with you on this. I think
it's mutual.
I hate him. He's on.
Okay, we have time for one more question. It's the lady over there.
Hello, Cindy Merrim, Diggin Magazine from the USA. First of all, congratulations on a phenomenal film to all of you, and a great performance by Taron and the other cast members. My question is for Dexter Fletcher and also Taron. Regarding working with Elton John, how closely did each of you, Dexter for the story and direction and Taron for performance, collaborate with him and take his notes?
Well, you know, he's obviously key and instrumental right from the outset, and that was apparent in the script when you read it, that all of the script that Lee wrote and developed was based on conversations that he had with Elton. And similarly, as soon as I got the call to go and meet Elton and have lunch, that's what I jumped at the opportunity to do. But I think there's an incredible generosity and understanding in Elton that he had to let me tell the story and Taron create the performance that he was doing without trying to micromanage that. Because it just becomes self-serving. And what the film is very clear about, and what David Furnish and Elton was clear about, is that's what it can't and shouldn't be. And I think it's part of the strength of the film, is that it tells the story in an objective way as possible, considering the people that are involved in making it. And so, at the same, while he was across everything and knew everything that we were doing and thinking about and designing and musically what we were talking about, he gave us a certain amount of distance that didn't make me feel, or I don't know, Taron feel, any of us feel that we had someone watching over our shoulder going, no, you can't do that, or don't do that, because that would not serve what he wanted to achieve, what he set out to do, or what us as artists would be unable to do. That's never going to be a true artistic vision in that way. So it's a very fine line for him to walk, but he walked it perfect.
I think it's important to remember that Elton is inherently a collaborator. You know, this isn't just a movie about Elton John, it's a movie about Elton John and Bernie Taupin in one of the most enduring musical writing partnerships of all time. And so he's no stranger to sharing a creative process with someone else. He understands the creative process. He's one of the most creative people of all time. So he knows what it takes for creative people to produce their best work, and that means affording us the space to do our thing and trusting in assembling the team that they wanted, trusting that we would use our best taste and our best judgment and all of our integrity and passion to make something that would be a triumph and something to be proud of. And in terms of me and him, you know, David and Elton really allowed me into their lives, and you know, my girlfriend and I spent a lot of time with them. We went to stay with them for a few days just before we started filming. We got quite drunk one night at theirs, and the head of his security caught me stealing from his kitchen at 3 a.m. But we, you know, it's been that element of it has been invaluable because he's allowed me to get to know him away from all of the pomp and ceremony of his life, I suppose, really, and being able to get under his skin in that way was really, really, really helpful.
Bryce, Dexter, Taron, Richard, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Right. Oh, look. Everybody's here.
Bernie and Elton, they write separate places.
Social media posts.
You have to run